Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? It is patch day today, and update 22 is with us, bringing with it Armor Ace and the Power Patrol, a new season, One Wasteland, the massive balance overhaul is coming to the game. It's also bringing with it legendary perks and daily ops as well, and there's a whole host of other really cool features as well. So let's jump into it, shall we? So the usual patch notes picture. Update 22 patch notes, September 15, 2020. We're releasing Update 22 today, which includes new features like One Wasteland, daily ops, and legendary perks, and the start of our second Fallout 76 season. This update also brings a number of additional improvements and bug fixes to the game, so be sure to read on to catch the patch notes. Let's get stuck into it. One Wasteland. This is perhaps the single biggest change that's come to the game since the launch of Wastelanders. So very, very big deal. Very, very big change. It's going to change the way the game plays and make it feel hopefully fresh, new and exciting, and restore a great deal of challenge to the game, which has been very much needed since, well, for me at least, since a couple of days after I first started playing it. Because, you know, once you get the feel for it, you get the hang of it, it gets a lot easier. So definitely a welcome change from that perspective. So, with today's update, we are excited to introduce One Wasteland to Fallout 76, which allows creatures to dynamically adjust their levels up or down on the fly to more closely match each player they encounter. So it's actually quite similar to the system that ESO uses. If you happen to play that game, you know you can go basically anywhere in the game at any time, at any level, and meet an appropriate challenge for your character's level, which is really cool. Obviously, Tamriel is huge, way bigger than 76 is, but nonetheless, same principle and a very, very cool start, so great for exploration. And also will restore a lot more opportunities to get cool rewards no matter where you are in the game world as well, which is very, very cool. So, if multiple players all come across the same enemy at the same time, its level will simultaneously rise for the higher level players and drop for the lower level players. In addition to their levels, each creature's damage, health and resistances, as well as the loot they drop, and the XP they award will also better match each player. So the idea being that no matter what level you are, two players can always contribute to a fight together, mostly on even footing, which is really, really cool. Makes that group play much more flexible, much more viable. Really cool. So this means that all players who are adventuring together can have an impact on any given combat encounter, even if there is a large level gap between them. While creatures will still have a minimum and maximum level, such as a max level of 50 in the forest, they are now much more flexible overall. Very, very cool. Obviously, that goes the opposite direction if you look at, say, somewhere like the Cranberry Bog, which is still going to be the toughest region in the game. It'll have a increased minimum level, and obviously the maximum level will be significantly higher as well. So, very, very cool. One Wasteland opens up more opportunities to adventure anywhere in Appalachia, whether alone or with your friends. It also smooths out some of the early game bumps for new players, allows higher level players to get max level loot in previously lower level regions, and should offer more consistent combat encounters for everyone. So, to say, it should mean combat is actually potentially dangerous no matter where you are on the map, rather than just being a breeze, which is good. I mean, the whole point of having combat in the game is to present opposition to the player. This will certainly restore a significant amount of that, which is very, very cool. So, it also should affect things like uranium fever. And obviously, that's right by the White Spring. It's not the highest level area of the game, and the legendary drops you used to get from it tended to cap out at 45 rather than at 50, which is the overall maximum. So now you should be able to get more suitable legendary drops if you're a higher level character as well from things like that, which is a really cool change. So you can catch even more details by reading our recent One Wasteland preview article on Fallout.com. So, if you want a few more details, you can do that. Obviously, I will link this set of patch notes in the description below. I will also throw cards up into this corner, so that if you want to check out my previous videos covering the subject, you can have a look at those. I'll also throw cards up so you can check out the recent videos on the new topics as well that I've uploaded in the last couple of days if you want to get a little bit of a head start on them as well. So, do keep an eye out for those. So, new season, board and rewards. Join Armor Ace and the Power Patrol in their march against the oppressive Subjugator and his army of Red Viper minions during Fallout 76 Season 2, which begins today. So, Legendary Run was good fun, gave us a reason to play every day and some cool rewards. All for free as well, which was really nice to have. And with Season 2, they're carrying on this theme with a few little changes that should mean we've got even more opportunities to get these rewards and make it a bit easier for those players who have perhaps a little bit more limited time, which is a really cool change. So, Season 2 brings the all-new Armor Ace scoreboard into the game, featuring 100 ranks for you to achieve during the next 10 weeks. So that's much the same, standard. We've added a host of rewards that you will unlock as you rank up, including new power armor paints, new armor and weapon skins, themed cosmetics, camp items, in-game currencies, perk card packs, and more. Very, very cool. So yeah, there are some really cool looking stuff, and once again, there is a video up there somewhere if you want to check it out, covering all the ins and outs and the things we can get, so worth a look at that as well. We've made several adjustments to the season that you may want to keep in mind as you dive in. So this is the cool stuff, or some more of the cool stuff. Rank ups will be purchasable immediately, so those who would like to rank up using atoms can join the fight to crush the Red Vipers starting today. So with the last season, you had to wait 2 weeks before you could buy them with atoms. I suspect the reason here is they're not expecting it to make much difference either way if they delay it, or possibly they're planning to test it to find that out. So I suspect most people, as we predicted prior to the last season, went for just buying the last few ranks if there were a few ranks short at the end of the season, that sort of thing. So I don't imagine it'll make much impact. Obviously, as always, if you don't want to spend anything on this, you don't have to. Also worth noting, as with the last season, it will cost a small fortune if you do, so bear in mind. But that is that. So we've implemented some new daily and weekly challenges, such as daily ops themed challenges to offer you even more variety as you rank up. So it's always good. The challenges did get a little bit recycled by the end of 10 weeks doing them. So additional challenges, more options to pick from and bigger pool to choose from is definitely a welcome change. We're also adding more weeklies to the challenge lineup, so you have more flexibility to progress on your schedule. So yeah, in short, more challenges. These are the particularly high scoring ones as well. So more players should hopefully be able to progress faster, and those with more limited time can also get further on in the season as well. So very nice little change. Finally, we've made several of last season's rewards, like lunchboxes, the ammo converter, and I believe the chicken coop was the other one that they've not mentioned here, available at gold bullion vendors. So players who missed them last season can have an opportunity to unlock them. So I'm not sure what the prices are on these, but as I understand it, the ammo converter is available at the Raiders. Lunchboxes are probably available at both, I think. And don't quote me on that. And the chicken coop will be available from the Settlers. So head to the seasons page on Fallout.com to check our Season 2 preview article out and get more information about Season 2, as well as look at the rewards that will be up for grabs. So, as per, the links via this post will be down in the description, and of course, my video on the topic as well, if you're interested. So, Daily Ops. Next big new daily content, which should be very cool. Put your skills to the test by taking on instanced, randomized, and repeatable encounters called Daily Ops. Daily Ops are fairly challenging, so we recommend them for characters who are level 50+. So if you've got a reasonably well built out character, you should be able to solo these, but they're also kind of intended to be group content as well, as we'll see with a couple of the changes a little further down this set of notes. Our first game mode for Daily Ops is called Uplink, which will require you to secure a series of uplinks and track down and destroy enemies that are threats to Appalachia. So reasonably simple set of challenges, and good fun to have a little run through, shouldn't take too terribly long. Sounds like from this that there will be different game modes coming as well for Daily Ops in the future, so very, very cool. I'll add a little bit more variety, especially given that there are default mutations, which we'll be touching on in a moment, that have a specific effect that are not so great for certain build types with Uplink, and once to start adding in different mission types, that will obviously vary a bit more and make different builds a bit more viable for different sets of challenges, which is cool. So, in Daily Ops, you'll square off against enemies from a single faction who are affected by a unique mutation, which will make them deadlier and more challenging to take down. Complete your objectives, eliminate the enemy threat, and you'll be rewarded for your efforts to make Appalachia a safe place for everyone. So to join a Daily Op, open the map screen and find the new World Activity Tracker we've added in the lower left corner. You definitely can't miss it. It looks to me like that's going to have some other stuff added to it in future with some of the new elements and content pieces that they're going to be adding over the next few months, so there should be more going down there as well, which is cool. Select a Daily Op from the list to learn more about it, including which location, enemies, and mutations you'll face. Enter Daily Ops directly from the tracker by clicking the Join button. You can take on Daily Ops alone or in a team of up to 4 players. So I did a video yesterday having a look at Daily Ops, so if you want to get a head start on that, you can have a look at that as per, up there. And it also goes over in a little detail, not too much, no heavy spoilers or anything, the lead-in quest, which is also available for Daily Ops, which is cool. There's a little bit of lore in there, it's worth a look at as well, but they haven't mentioned it here for some reason. Head down to the Cranberry Bog if you want to check that one out. You can take on daily ops alone or in a team of up to 4 other players. Each day, daily ops will feature a fresh combination of location, enemy faction, and enemy mutations to keep you on your toes, so variety is the spice of life. Locations currently available are the Burrows, which is cool, it's an interesting location that definitely needs a little more use. The Burning Mine, again, Valley Galleria, not too bothered about that one, and Vault 94, which was previously put into the game with Vault Raids around about this time last year, but those did not go too well, so good to see this being reworked into a system that is much cooler and definitely looks much more fun and practical to approach, so some good changes to that former system in form of daily ops, very, very cool. Enemy factions that are currently available are Super Mutants, Blood Eagles, and Robots. Enemy mutations that are available are Piercing Gaze, which is always applied as the default in the uplink mode, and that gives enemies a greatly enhanced perception of players. So short version, that means stealth will be ineffective during uplink missions, which is one very good reason why I'm looking forward to seeing alternatives being available, different mission types, I mean. So it'll give you a chance to have a bit more of a successful run through, or a bit more of an advantage if you're a stealth player. So Volatile will cause enemies to explode on death. Not quite as aggressively as, say, a sentry bot does, I believe, but nonetheless, it should do a little bit of damage to other enemies in the area and potentially to the player as well, so bear that one in mind. Active Camouflage. Enemies will be cloaked when not attacking, much as if they were using a stealth boy. So, not the toughest one in the world, this one, but it could mean surprise attacks from unexpected angles, so keep your head on a swivel there. Resilient enemies can only be killed with a melee attack, so much like trolls in the old Baldur's Gate games, as I mentioned in my previous video, and those had to be killed with specific types of damage, the final hit must come from a melee weapon, or you can bash with the butt of your rifle or whatever other weapon you may be using. So, Freezing Touch is the final mutation, and that will slow players as they are attacked by their enemies. So, not the most challenging in the world, but if you're running a melee build, that could be a little bit more problematic if you're trying to close the distance. Since you'll be facing combat and deadly threats during your operations, we've reduced the condition damage taken by your weapons and armor by 50% whilst you're in a daily op. Now, particularly for Resilient, I think this is going to be a really good change, because bashing damage with weapons does a lot more condition damage, if I understand correctly anyway, than regular firing does. So, very good to have that damage reduced by half if you're not a melee character. So that's a good little change, that one. One I haven't noticed before, but yeah, pleased to see that. Good thinking on Bethesda's part there. So, like the event A Colossal Problem, creatures in daily ops will drop ammo based on the weapons you're using when you take them down. This will help you keep your ammo reserves topped off through lots of combat. So this, coupled with the ammo rewards you'll get at the end of the op as part of the completion rewards, generally mean that unless you are spraying the walls and not the enemies, you should come out of there with more ammunition than you went in. I certainly did when I took a few runs through on the test server, so that's pretty cool. So it'll offset some of the extra ammo cost that is coming along with the One Wasteland update, so that's cool. If you can generally get more ammo out of it than you went in with, then it's an option for grinding for ammo that is a bit more interesting than some of the others as well, so that's quite a cool little feature. So, you can repeat daily ops as often as you'd like each day, also handy with a previous point, and you will receive a base set of rewards every time you complete one. However, there are 3 additional reward tiers that you can reach once per day by completing a daily op within certain time limits. So, hitting Initiate tier requires it being completed in less than 16 minutes, 12 minutes or less will put you in Paladin tier, and 8 minutes or less will put you in Elder tier. The higher the tier you achieve, the higher your chances to get better rewards, including more XP, larger amounts of in-game currencies, more legendary items, and even brand new items like the Warglaive, which is a customizable two-handed melee weapon, and there are a number of camp objects as well that are available if you happen to get those special rewards. Again, if you want a few more details, have a look at my video from yesterday, I'll link it up in the corner. After finishing a daily op, you'll be able to view an operation report, which shows you how fast you managed to complete it, and which reward tiers you achieved, along with a list of rewards, even, you earned, except for XP and currencies, which will be given to you in the usual manner. So, one thing it doesn't mention here is that the operation report at the end, when you hit the exit button, it will automatically fast travel you out to, I think, the location you were in, or very close to the location you were in prior to your hitting the join button from the menu to get into the op in the first place. So if you're in your camp, hopefully you should return back there. When I did it, I was actually in Watoga and it dropped me just outside of town, which was pretty convenient. It saved me trekking halfway across the map, so It's kind of like a free fast travel back to wherever you were, so that's not a bad little feature either. Surprised it didn't mention it. So, the other big thing that is coming today, legendary perks. This is something we've been waiting for a long time. It was supposed to be coming out back over the summer, but feedback from the PTS was less than stellar on the first iteration of this, so Bethesda have reworked it, and the current form looks pretty solid, so it's looking pretty cool. Once again, video up here if you want to check that one out. It's gone up just today. So, legendary perks are new high-level perk cards for players who have reached level 50+, which will help you add even more power and build diversity to your characters. We've added new legendary perks button at the top of the normal perk card menu that you can use to access and modify your legendary perk card slots and the cards themselves. You will unlock your first legendary perk slot at level 50 and up to 6 slots in total are available at certain level milestones after that, those being level 75, level 100, level 150, level 200 and level 300. So, if you already have high-level characters, they will immediately have access to one legendary perk slot for each of the milestones they've achieved. So, if you've got a character past level 300 already, they'll all be unlocked as soon as this patch goes live. Not sure if it's very clear here, we'll get to it in a second, but just in case it isn't, this system works on an account-wide basis, so as soon as you've got one character past each of these milestones, all of your other characters, irrespective of their level, will have access to all of the perk slots that your highest level character has unlocked. So account-wide, which is a cool little feature. It means even if you're creating a brand new character, straight out the vault, you can still slap a few legendary perks in there, give yourself a little boost for that run through the content that, by this point, you've probably gone through several times before. So that's pretty cool. So, for example, level 250 character will have access to 5 legendary perk slots and will gain a 6th at level 300. Okay, we've just covered. One legendary perk card can be equipped in each slot, and you can unequip them at any time in exchange for 1 perk coin. So not quite as flexible as the base perk system. Swapping these out will cost you perk coins, which are only available by scrapping spare perk cards. So the ideal thing to do really is to make sure you've got a setup with your legendary perks that works for as many situations as possible, rather than swapping them out every 5 minutes and burning through your perk coins, because you will need those to make your perks more powerful, your legendary perks anyway. Legendary perk slots are account-wide and will be available for all of your characters as soon as you unlock them, so that did cover it. Even your characters below level 50 will be able to equip legendary perks in these slots, which gives them access to more power at an earlier stage of the game than your higher level characters had at that level. With legendary perks, we are introducing perk coins, which you can use to increase the power of your legendary perk cards by upgrading them. Earn perk coins by scrapping your unused normal perk cards. Each perk card you scrap will grant you 2 perk coins per rank. For example, when you scrap a rank 1 card, you will receive 2 perk coins. Scrapping a rank 3 card will award 6. So, fairly simple. No matter how many ranks it's got, you get twice as many perk coins back. Each legendary perk card can be upgraded up to 3 times at a price of 50, 100 and 150 perk coins to reach ranks 2, 3 and 4 respectively. Whilst that might seem like quite a step between the number of coins you're getting and the number you require to rank up, this is supposed to be high-level content, and the gaps in the milestones are quite sizable, so you will have plenty of time to earn those spare perk cards to turn in for perk coins. To have iterated on this a few times, and it does seem to be working reasonably well for now. Obviously, feedback, of course, will be welcome, so if you have any, do let them know your thoughts on the forums, but that should be reasonably workable. Plus, of course, you've got perk card packs, which are available through normal play as well, and you've also got them dropping in the various seasons as well, so that's extra opportunities to get spare cards to turn in for legendary perks if that's what you want to spend them on. While legendary perk slots you've unlocked are account-wide, your legendary perk selection and upgrades are separate for each of your characters. Your perk coins are also account-wide, which is something else you might want to bear in mind. To help give your perk coin collection a boost, we've added a Become Legendary challenge to the Character Challenge menu, which awards 50 perk coins to characters who reach level 50. As I said, because this is account-wide, every character you get past the 50 mark will get a grant of 50 coins, so if you have a look at the video that I uploaded earlier today, you see I mentioned that I started out initially with 150 perk coins. That's because I've got 3 characters past that 50 mark. It's a good way to get yourself a little extra boost, is to get characters past that 50 mark. I suppose you could level up characters, delete them, and then repeat the procedure if you wanted to grind out 3 perk coins, but that doesn't sound like a great deal of fun to me. But it's an option if you want to go down that road. So, please note, if your characters are already over level 50, This challenge will already be completed for them, and next time you log in, 50 perk coin reward will be added to your perk coin total automatically. So it's working retroactively, which is cool to see. So that is the big new content for this patch, and it is pretty cool. I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into this. It's going to be a heck of an overhaul for the game, which is, as I say, the biggest one we've seen since Wastelanders. So very much looking forward to that. Looking forward to getting stuck into new challenges and new builds and all the good things that are coming with that, as well as the daily ops and things like that as well. Should be good fun. But alongside this, we have a number of design tweaks that are really cool as well. Some of them are, whatever. They're nice to have, but some of them are pretty good things as well, so it's well worth having a look at this list. So, top of the list, one of my personal favourites. Fast travel is now free to Foundation and Crater. So that'll save us a few caps as we're bouncing around the map. It certainly gives us a couple of more points that are spread out quite widely across the map as well, which is nice to have. It's a cool little change, and yeah, I think one that a lot of people will appreciate. Combat. Bonus damage. So this is part of the One Wasteland changes. We've changed the way damage bonuses are calculated, so they now apply additively instead of multiplicatively. I knew I was going to struggle with that word. So they will now add together rather than multiply together. Please note, while stacking damage bonuses will now have a smaller effect on your damage output than before, these changes will make the resulting damage much more predictable and allow for future improvements. This is very important for the health of the game going forward. It will also create better opportunities for us to make smarter and more effective balance changes. We are still evaluating feedback we gathered on these changes from the PTS, but we also welcome your thoughts on how different weapons and builds feel after today's update, so that we can make additional adjustments in future. So this is a starting point, not a be-all and end-all. There will be future changes going forward. Feedback obviously being very, very important to that, but yeah, it does mean that those ridiculously overpowered builds will not be dishing out as much punishment as they used to. Some are still pretty powerful, but just not as disproportionately so as they were before. Which I know is going to upset a lot of people, and I know a lot of people feel like it's a waste of time with their builds, but to be honest, I'll say your builds are still going to be powerful, they're just not going to be ridiculous, and you'll actually be encountering a challenging combat rather than just breezing through stuff, or breezing through 90% of it, so it's going to make the game more interesting to engage with. So I think on the whole, everybody's going to benefit whether they expect to or not, is my honest opinion, and I think it's going to bring a lot more fun back to the game, so to be honest, I think once it settles down as well, we'll get used to it and it's going to be fun. And of course, we've got to see what they do in the future as well, so something to watch out for there. So, item changes. The Alien Blaster has had its damage increased by 30%. That's nice, it was pretty underpowered. Legendary weapons. So this was one I was asked about earlier today. The Assassin's Legendary attribute now applies its bonus damage to human NPCs. Still pretty situational, still not the biggest damage bonus in the world either, but it will affect human NPCs now as well, which is cool. That kind of makes sense. Gives them a bit more variety in their use as opposed to just other players. But still, not the most mind-blowing legendary effect out there. It's just better than it was. Secret Service armor. They've added plans for light and ultralight limb mods to the vendor in Vault 79 regs. So if you happen to like your ultralight or light limb mods, you can go and pick those up. Shish Kebab now deals fire damage specifically rather than energy damage, which is just a slight change. I'm not exactly sure what the ins and outs of that are going to be, but it is what it is. Obviously, its damage in general will change with the patch as a whole as well, but there we go. Those who are using the Shish Kebab will have to jump in and test it out, see how the change affects their gameplay. Perks. So a couple of little tweaks here that are pretty cool. Modern Renegade is now going to do a little bit more damage. Its chance to cripple limbs has gone up from 2-3-4% to 4-8 and 12%, so that should be more effective for those who are using that perk. And here's one I really like. Tank Killer. Pistols will now benefit from the Tank Killer perk card. So previously it was only rifles. It basically gives you increased armor penetration on your pistols as well as rifles now, which is cool. Pistols have been seriously underpowered up to now, so this change will hopefully give them a little boost, which will be very, very welcome for those who want to have a crack at running a cowboy build, which is one of my new builds at the minute. So very, very cool. Like that a lot. So a couple of UI changes, or one big UI change to public teams. We've renamed the building team to Casual and removed the previous Casual team bonus. In its place, we've added Daily Ops team type, which offers bonus XP for completing daily ops, as per the other types of XP bonuses, so 25% to start, up to 100% for a fully bonded team. We did this in part because it's not possible to build at public teammates' camps, and partly because most players were using the building team in the way we had intended the casual team to be used anyway. Removing the casual team option made room for us to add the daily ops team type, which we feel players will find more useful following today's update. Wholeheartedly agree with that. It's a good change that responds to the way players are engaging with the game and the way people are playing, so yeah, good change. Makes a lot of sense. Good one. Like that. And a couple of changes to the world. Vault 94 is once again accessible, and specifically in this case, it's accessible during world exploration in adventure mode and private worlds, as well as during daily ops. So, previously you had, with the previous version of it anyway, with the Vault raids, you could only get in there during a Vault raid. Now you can get in, have a wander around, encounter some adversaries, and explore the Vault if you would like to. And of course you can do the daily ops in there. Those two things both happen, and they are both independent of each other. So the daily ops are separately instanced, so basically it means that people can explore without encountering daily ops running simultaneously. And equally, you can do your daily op without some random person coming in and causing issues, potentially. So, all in all, very, very cool. And Vault 51. We've added a new no-camp zone around Vault 51's exterior in preparation for future content. So, Vault 51 is right up in the top end of the forest. It's the setting, sort of, for the lobby for Nuclear Winter. So, interested to see what new content they might be adding in that region. That could be quite interesting. Little spin on the Nuclear Winter setup, maybe. So, have to keep our eyes open for what future content's coming there. But it does mean that if you're camped right outside the vault, not anymore, unfortunately. But there we go. So, we are on to bug fixes. And this is already running long enough, so I'm not going to go through every little bit of detail here. I'll pick out some of the key ones, and as I say, linked in the description if you want to check out the blog post, the patch notes rather, and you can have a look yourself and see if there's anything else that interests you. But a few key points. So there's some art and graphic stuff that affects sort of objects clipping through each other. Grognak's battle cry emote should work properly. If you've got a ridiculously long nose, it should no longer clip through the ghillie suit hood's face mask. A couple of lighting fixes in a couple of locations. The Vault-Tec duffel bag loot bag has been tweaked, so that should be easy to access. That's nice. And the handmade rifle Screaming Eagle paint should not have some clipping issues as well, so that's nice. So a lot of changes to camp and workshops. Pretty significant, some of these. Ammo converter, big one. Attempting to sell 40mm grenade rounds no longer results in a transaction failed error, so you can turn those in now if you would like to. The Blood Eagle Nest, which is a recently added Atomic Shop item, should have slightly better pathing on it so you can get in and out a little bit more easily, which is... I can't say I noticed any problems in the camp I put it in, but okay, that's not a bad thing. Blueprints. The select option should now be correctly grayed out when a player is not currently highlighting an object. Little feedback thing, that's fine. Camp resources generated by objects like the Collectron, Fertilizer Producer, etc. are now stored in the player's stash or scrap box if they move camp locations before collecting them. I'm guessing before you would have lost them. Now they'll be transferred straight to your stash. Presumably, if your stash is full when you move your camp, then it won't transfer, so that might be something to bear in mind. But that's a good little change. They fixed an issue that could prevent fast travel to another player's camp if they had the Future Tech skin equipped. This is an intermittent thing, but definitely a good fix. Campfires. Objects can only be placed in dirt, can no longer be built on top of a campfire. So basically you won't be able to use a campfire to put crops in and put them somewhere you couldn't normally. Something like that, I'm guessing, but that is a change. Communist bunker. So there's a couple of good changes here. I have mixed feelings on one of them, but definitely a little fix that needed doing, as predicted, nice and easy though. Objects placed on the floor of the communist bunker no longer appear to float. So a little nav mesh issue there, making things appear like that far off the floor. So now they won't do that, it should work properly and they'll just go back in, but we'll see when I log in later, I guess. The interior walls of the communist bunker are now hexagonal rather than cylindrical to help players more easily place wall decor. Now, I'm curious how this is actually going to pan out. I hope they've kind of pushed them back rather than moved them in, because I've got 3 of them in one of my camps, and that's going to be interesting. I suddenly find it's not going to work properly. I'll be quite upset, so we'll see how that goes. Hopefully they've thought this through. Fingers crossed. The building requirements for the communist bunker now correctly call for concrete instead of asbestos. Can't say I noticed that, but that makes sense. Communist fence. An alternate version has been added that can be freely placed without needing to snap. The original version didn't need to snap, so I don't quite know what that's referring to, but hopefully it'll be a slightly more easy to place version of it, so that would always be a win. Wall weapon racks can now be correctly snapped to walls. Wonderful. Items can no longer be stacked on objects that are in disrepair. Little exploit. Not sure if this means that the flamethrower glitch that allows you to get items closer together, things like that, are no longer going to work. Seems like it might be a possible effect from this particular change, so we'll have to test it and see, but I would not be very happy if that's the case, because there's some areas where you just want to get things closer together, and you can't because of collisions, so mixed feelings. We'll have to see how this actually pans out in game before I come down on a formal opinion on that, but it is what it is. That's a change. A fixed an exploit that allows players to build workshop ammunition factories at their camps. Now this is somewhat amusing to me. As a result of this fix, camps and blueprints that contain a workshop ammo factory are now invalid and can no longer be placed. Players will also receive a notification that their camp or blueprint cannot be placed if it contains a workshop ammo factory. So chances are, if you're logging into a camp that's got an ammo factory in it, you're going to have to start from scratch, mate. And you're not going to get any sympathy from me on it either. If you're going to use such an obvious exploit that is obviously going to be patched out, you've kind of got it coming. So that is what it is. Camp budget exploit related to generators has been addressed. Farmable dirt tiles can no longer be replaced by other floor types, presumably to stop crops growing out of regular floors? I don't know. Weird one, but okay. The standing taxidermy gorilla plan now correctly unlocks the right object instead of the sitting one. So the standing one unlocks the standing one, and the sitting one unlocks the sitting one, rather than the other way around, which is what they were doing before, apparently. And they now correctly display in their destroyed states as well. Fusion generator, when scrapped, it returns the correct resources. Log cabin, players can now correctly place items on the window of the cabin, and the rainwater collector no longer becomes invisible when it's destroyed. A little tweak to the challenges. Scrapping fertilizer now correctly progresses collect fertilizer instead of gather building supplies. Death and respawn, this is an interesting one. Players will now die immediately when turned into an ash or goo pile if you're being shot by an enemy with an energy weapon, rather than entering down but not out. Yeah, struggling to say that apparently. So that's pretty significant. It makes those energy weapon wielding enemies that bit more threatening, which is good to know about. It does make sense. Surviving being vaporized, it seems a tad unlikely to me, so yeah, I can see why they're making that change, but it's definitely something you want to know about. So respawn implemented a fix to reduce cases where players could become unable to respawn after being killed during an event or in an interior. This fix may not address all situations that this issue can occur in, but it should help, and we're aware and continuing to work on a more complete fix. So, not got it entirely sorted now. Hopefully they've ironed out some of it, but more complete fix coming on down the line. I'm guessing this refers to things like not being able to get back into a colossal problem, so hopefully that issue shouldn't crop up as often, but they acknowledge here that they haven't completely wiped it out, so hopefully they'll get a complete fix for that before too long. It's cool. Scorched Beast Queen can now be properly crippled, which is cool. Some changes to items. Let's have a look at these. Buff outs and Psycho Buff will no longer prevent you dying from radiation damage. Exploit on items. Address an exploit in which players could intentionally double their stat bonus offered by unyielding armors. So, if you're gaming the system to make yourself even more powerful via unyielding armor, that's not going to work anymore, which is a fix I approve of. Generally in favour of that. Fireworks will no longer cause players to reload faster than intended, which I'm sure there were people gaming that particular system as well, so always good to see. A few more cheats and exploits removed are always welcome for those of us who want to play fair. Some more contextual ammo drops are available, so you should be able to get arrows, crossbow bolts, 38mm, .38, 40mm grenade rounds, ultrasight plasma cartridges, ultrasight 2mm electromagnetic cartridges instead of random ammo types now, so those should mean when you're using weapons that use those, you should actually get the right ammo type back, which is cool. Definitely a good time for that particular fix. So, fix an issue in which power armor with junkyard paint wasn't providing the correct amount of radiation resistance. Cool, good to see that working properly. Shotgun suppressor mods should now work properly as well, instead of affecting your range. Secret Service under armor liming mods can now be correctly applied to camo Secret Service armor, which is good. And they fixed an issue that allowed players to craft the under armor without having the recipe. Also very, very good. A couple of fixes to mutations I think people will be keen to know about. You can correctly acquire more than one mutation in a given play session. So apparently there were some issues with that if you're picking more than one up in one session. But those should work properly now, and also fix an issue that reduced Stimpack healing whilst under the effects of Speed Demon. So that's cool as well, you should be able to heal properly. Very nice. So, performance and stability, a number of fixes here that are not massively fascinating, but we've got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fixes to performance there, and stability, which is always welcome, so fewer crashes, always a good thing. Class Freak should now work properly with all mutations, fix an issue there, and Concentrated Fire no longer causes a hit chance in VATs to suddenly jump to 95% when using an automatic weapon. So that should function as intended as well. Couple of fixes to a colossal problem. Players will no longer receive Merv frag grenade plans multiple times after completing the event, and fix an issue where equipping certain types of thrown explosives caused Wendigo spawns to drop at random ammo types on death instead of the type that you're actually using. So that's cool, you should get the right ammo type back. Another attempt to fix announcer prevention, which has still been having issues. Hopefully that will mean that you can progress it properly after today's patch. If you've been having issues, worth jumping in and having a crack at that, seeing if you can now move on. So fingers crossed that will put this issue to rest, because it's been ongoing, so apparently it's been a bit of a bugbear, that one. Primal Cut should function much better as well. Quest targets will now appear on all Prime Beasts instead of only on the last few. Very much want to see this for workshop defense missions as well, that would be handy. Make life a lot easier, but it will help players track any wayward beasts. Primal Cuts. During the final wave of Prime Beasts, players are now only required to kill the boss in order to complete the event, instead of killing all the Prime Beasts. So if any have gone wandering, it won't prevent you from completing the event, which is a cool change. They've been testing this on the PTS recently. Good to see they've got a working fix. And vital equipment can no longer be completed multiple times a day if you've managed to acquire more than one version of the quest item. So, got to progress that at the intended rate. You've got to earn that reputation over time, which makes sense realistically. A couple of user interface changes. So, a couple of issues with the controls have been fixed. So, the quick heal button should work properly, and the controls should not become unresponsive after opening the social menu anymore. So, that's nice. Grenades and mines now correctly display their damage numbers when they hit enemies. Purchasing multiple rank ups using atoms and then leaving the season board no longer causes score meter to progress very, very slowly or rank up sound effects to play repeatedly. It's cool. And score rank up progress and reward notifications now correctly appear to players who are wearing their power armor. So apparently you were getting it at the right time, but you just weren't getting a notification until you hopped out your power armor. I noticed that myself a couple of times, so that should actually work properly now. And a couple of tweaks to locations in the world as well, you should now be able to get into rather than getting available at a later date errors. Those are the Arctos Pharma Biome Lab, the Etasai House, I'm going to struggle with this, the Pie House, the Burrows, Nukashine, and Van Loo Taxidermy. So if you've had problems getting into those locations, should work properly now. And here's a really cool one that I'm very happy to see, and it's a really nice little simple fix here, which is cool. Always nice when there's just a simple solution to a problem. Fort Defiance. The no-camp zone of Fort Defiance has been expanded to include the road in front of the asylum in order to resolve an exploit affecting enemy spawns in the Line in the Sand event. So, no more survival tents being dumped on the spawn site, causing all the scorch to appear in the middle of the area. So, that issue should be gone. We won't have to worry about those people then running over and blowing them to bits before anybody can get a chance to contribute to the event. Very, very cool. Long overdue. Very happy to see that change. So, big hefty set of patch notes today. I'll try and trim this down, make it a bit more efficient in post, but we have been rambling for, crikey, a while now. So, I do hope you guys have found that useful and informative. I'm very much looking forward to getting stuck into this new update. Some really cool changes. As I said before, if you haven't already, do check out the videos linked on cards up here and the playlist as well. There's a lot of details about the new changes and all the bits and pieces that are coming today. If you want to take a little deep dive into those, you can do it through there. But for now, if you did enjoy the video, please do consider dropping likes and subs for me. It's hugely appreciated and hugely helpful. Social media links down in the description, along with the merch store if you're interested in supporting the channel that way, and channel memberships via the blue button as well if you want to support the channel that way. It is humongously appreciated, so massive thanks to everybody who's done that already. If you do get the chance as well, do join us for a live stream. Hopefully we'll be in Fallout tonight, and we've got some more Horizon Zero Dawn coming on later in the week as well, so do watch out for those. For now, thank you very much for watching. I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.